block to B-Eazy Dat Dude. B-Eazy Dat Dude, yeah, they know the name. Stacking up the paper, but having money ain't a thing. Standing on business, burning hotter than a flame. From the block to the ballroom, you gotta stand the rain. B-Eazy Dat Dude, yeah, they know the name. Stacking up the paper, but having money ain't a thing. Standing on business, burning hotter than a flame. From the block to the ballroom, you gotta stand the rain. Big block engine with 26 inches on the chrome I ride. Started at the bottom, soared to the top and still on the ride. Air handshake solid, seal the deal airtight. He gave you the blueprint to grind and get your hustle right. Money in the vision, it was dirty but he washed it clean. Turned a dollar to a dream, now he living like a king. From the late nights grinding to the early bird moves. Ask around the city, he really that dude. He love how he talk it cause he walk it too. Every step calculated, everything come through. From the hood by the views, yeah, the rooftop views. He the bridge between the struggle and the good life views. Never fold under pressure, shine like a diamond in the sun. Every loss was a lesson, every win is hard won. Now the crowd chant his name when he steps in the room. B-Eazy Dat Dude, yeah, you know he's the truth. B-Eazy Dat Dude, yeah, they know the name. Stacking up the paper, but having money ain't a thing. Standing on business, burning hotter than a flame. From the block to the ballroom, you gotta stand the rain. B-Eazy Dat Dude, yeah, they know the name. Stacking up the paper, but having money ain't a thing. Standing on business, burning hotter than a flame. From the block to the ballroom, you gotta stand the rain.
Yeah, yeah. Listen up. It's B-Eazy Dat Dude, the great. He ain't fake, he one of the real guys. Spitting fire every stream. You been late to the party, now it's time to realize. From Pittsburgh to around the world, yeah, the flow is elite. Every beat that he slide on turns into straight heat. Came up from the grind, selling box on a laptop, running up a bag, feel like he hit the jackpot. Got the luxury visions, ambition vivid, never bluff. Person's progress, persevere when the going gets tough. B-Eazy Dat Dude, got stripes in the game. Every rhyme, every line, they gon' remember the name. From the streets to the stage, the energy don't fade. Legend in the making, yeah, history's what he's laid. Mic in his hand, heart in the flow and soul on every beat. Dropping knowledge, power, bravado, his legacy complete. Hustle amplified, lyrics electrified, that's the truth. Be-Eazy Dat Dude, established with certified proof. Feel the bass, feel the vibe, let it ride through the crowd. All the words, every hook, man, he keeps making us proud. King of his lane, rising above every feud. All hail the one and only, one and only, one and only. Be-Eazy Dat Dude. Yeah. Yeah.
Turn your radios up. Turn your radios up. Y'all know what this is. Y'all know who this is. B-Eazy Dat Dude, an impromptu stream back with another one. This one is gonna be a banger. It's for surely will be a doozy. I don't like to keep y'all waiting. So, before we get this thing started, you know, I gotta hit you.
If you know the song, sing along. Yeah, you're right.
私も地元のと言っても実はそれぐらいです。もう友達できたの？うん。ぶったファンのこっち見ろ。
Look, this promethazine got me leaning like a cholo in the club. I'm 20 deep. I don't be riding solo. Pull some bad bitches, they vanilla and cocoa. They wanna take some photos when we kick it out in Soho. Chicks are showing tits and popping pussy for my promo. Told them like juvenile, baby, move it for me slow mo. Then I'm right back to the block, cause I keep getting modo. I be flipping, not shrinking. I don't give a fuck about no. This facts about me that y'all didn't know. Some of y'all be getting bread, but I be getting bigger, dog. I got bigger guns and a whole lot of better. And we are activated, and we've already been joined by some illustrious guests, none other than JB Quinn. Also, we got Shara King, we got Atebe, Tebe, and we got Sincere Saida in the building. So y'all seen the title, y'all seen the thumbnail, and she says yes, and looks like we've joined with another illustrious guest, my boo, what it do in the building. So yes, we're gonna get right into this thing. She says, did you see that Nicki Minaj was up Trump's butt again? Yes, because Nicki Minaj is not a citizen, right? So she is doing a lot of schmoozing with the Republicans in hopes to gain citizenship. So she's not just kissing butt, she's firmly planting her hands on the cheeks, spreading the cheeks, licking up and down and all around. So she's not just a butt kisser, she is a crack licker. So hopefully she gets some citizenship based on this. So that's Nicki Tether Minaj. Okay, so y'all seen the title and the thumbnail. You have no rights. You know, freedom is not free, right? Are you free? Like the late, great Dr. Nellie Fuller says, we're living in an open air prison. Now, it may be a luxurious open air prison, but a prison nonetheless. So is freedom really free? Do you have rights, or do you just have privileges? Privileges can be revoked at any time. And if you say that the rights are God-given, then how could they be stripped by man? Let's get into it.
Politicians. Everybody complains about politicians. Everybody says they suck. Yeah! Well, where do people think these politicians come from? They don't fall out of the sky. They don't pass through a membrane from another reality. They come from American parents and American families, American homes, American schools, American churches, American businesses, and American universities, and they're elected by American citizens. This is the best we can do, folks. This is what we have to offer. It's what our system produces. Garbage in, garbage out. If you have selfish, ignorant citizens, you're going to get selfish, ignorant leaders. And term limits ain't going to do you any good. You're just going to wind up with a brand new bunch of selfish, ignorant Americans. So maybe it's not the politicians who suck. Maybe something else sucks around here. Like the public. Yeah, the public.
Yes, I would have to concur. When people say that the Republicans are bad or that the Democrats are bad, who voted those people in? Now, I understand that there's a bunch of money and lobbying efforts and media propaganda, and there's a lot of systemic oppression and rigging going on. But still, you'll see a lot of people that would be considered rank and file or proletariat. They'll be licking the boots of the oligarch, willing to attack their neighbor to defend a billionaire that doesn't give a flying fig about them. Let's rewind it back and get back into it.
You're just going to wind up with a brand new bunch of selfish, ignorant Americans. So maybe it's not the politicians who suck. Maybe something else sucks around here. Like the public. Yeah, the public sucks. There's a nice campaign slogan for somebody. The public sucks. Fuck hope. Fuck hope.
So everybody don't like Nicki no more. Who I think the only thing that Nicki had going for her is that she had clicked up with Lil Wayne. Then Lil Wayne and Drake, they were making music together. So during that era, she was at her hottest. But see, she needed a team to uplift her. She's not the main star, right? She needs a huge supporting cast to carry her through the finish line. And there was a lot of propaganda, and she did have a cult-like following of the Barbs and stuff. But if you ask them why they were so cultish and following her, they won't give you a coherent answer. But in terms of just raw talent, I do like Nicki Minaj, but I can name at least 10 other female artists that were clearly lyrically more talented than her and in other aspects, right? So I don't think people are just hating on Nikki. It's just, I think her popularity has run its course, and she doesn't help it with all of these kind of bigoted, buffoonish antics that she engages in.
Brand new bunch of selfish, ignorant Americans. So maybe it's not the politicians who suck. Maybe something else sucks around here, like the public. Yeah, the public sucks. There's a nice campaign slogan.
No, Nicki Minaj said herself. She said it when she was on Turning Point USA stage, when she was schmoozing up to Charlie Kirk's wife, Erica Kirk, I believe, right? She said that she's not a citizen. So even if she may have had some sort of green card or a work visa, she has some sort of temporary legal status, but she's not a citizen, and she doesn't have permanent residency, I don't believe. But this is her words. She said she was not a citizen. So I don't know what her legal, anything else outside of her legal status. I just know that she's not a citizen. Her words.
Slogan for somebody. The public sucks. Fuck hope. Fuck hope. Because if it's really just the fault of these politicians, then where are all the other bright people of conscience? Where are all the bright, honest, intelligent Americans ready to step in and save the nation and lead the way? We don't have people like that in this country. Everybody's at the mall, scratching his ass, picking his nose, taking his credit card out of his fanny pack and buying a pair of sneakers with lights in them. So I have solved this little political dilemma for myself in a very simple way. On election day, I stay home. I don't vote. Fuck them. Fuck them. I don't vote. Two reasons I don't vote. First of all, it's meaningless. This country was bought and sold and paid for a long time ago. The shit they shuffle around every 4 years doesn't mean a fucking thing. And secondly, I don't vote because I believe if you vote, you have no right to complain. People like to twist that around, I know. They say, well, if you don't vote, you have no right to complain. But where's the logic in that? If you vote, and you elect dishonest, incompetent people, and they get into office and screw everything up, well, you are responsible for what they have done. You caused the problem. You voted them in. You have no right to complain. I, on the other hand, who did not vote, who, in fact, did not even leave the house on election day.
Yeah, I know he's being satirical with this, but he does have some validity, right? Some people like to say, hey, since you didn't vote, you can't complain about anything. But just like right now, there's many Latinos saying, oh my God, we didn't know Trump was going to do this. Actually, he ran on that. He ran on mass deportations. He ran on build the wall. And still, many in the Latino community was saying, I will vote for Donald Trump. Yeah, well, this is what you're getting. You know what I mean? So blame yourself, right? Don't blame the people that didn't vote for Trump. Blame yourself. You can't say, hey, you didn't vote for Trump or you didn't vote for Kamala. You didn't vote at all. So this is your fault. No, you chose wrong. You bought into the propaganda that Trump said that there were going to be mass deportations and he was only going to go after the criminals. So you went up there, you were doing the salsa and merengue about how ecstatic you were to vote for Trump. And now, unfortunately, he's targeting many people in your community, your family. Many people are at risk of being deportated, but this is what you voted for.
I believe if you vote, you have no right to complain. People like to twist that around, I know. They say, well, if you don't vote, you have no right to complain. But where's the logic in that? If you vote, and you elect dishonest, incompetent people, and they get into office and screw everything up, well, you are responsible for what they have done. You caused the problem. You voted them in. You have no right to complain. I, on the other hand, who did not vote, who, in fact, did not even leave the house on election day, am in no way responsible for what these people have done and have every right to complain as loud as I want about the mess you created that I had nothing to do with. So I know that a little later on this year, you're going to have another one of those really swell presidential elections that you like so much. You'll enjoy yourselves. It'll be a lot of fun. I'm sure as soon as the election is over, your country will improve immediately. As for me, I'll be home on that day doing essentially the same thing as you. The only difference is when I get finished masturbating, I'm going to have a little something to show for it, folks. Consumption. It's the new national pastime. Fuck baseball. It's consumption. The only true, lasting American value that's left, buying things. Buying things. People spending money they don't have on things they don't need. Money they don't have on things they don't need. So they can max out their credit cards and spend the rest of their lives paying 18% interest on something that costs $12.50. And they didn't like it when they got it home anyway. Not too bright, folks. Not too fucking bright. But if you talk to one of them about this, if you isolate one of them, you sit them down rationally, and you talk to them about the low IQs and the dumb behavior and the bad decisions, right away they start talking about education. That's the big answer to everything. Education. They say we need more money for education. We need more books, more teachers, more classrooms, more schools. We need more testing for the kids. You say to them, well, you know, we've tried all of that, and the kids still can't pass the test. You say, oh, don't you worry about that. We're going to lower the passing grades. And that's what they do in a lot of these schools now. They lower the passing grades so more kids can pass.
Yeah, so how is that helping us? How is that making America great again? As much as the bigots and the MAGA maniacs, they talk about education, and then they want to strip funding from education and say, oh, because it's because of wokeness. Okay, so what are you going to replace it with? They want to strip education because of wokeness, and then they want to replace it with PragerU, who wants to incessantly teach you about the Holocaust, but also say that slavery wasn't so bad because they learned skills. But they won't say that the Holocaust wasn't so bad. They will say that slavery was so bad. So how is transforming our educational system with what Dennis Prager and Daily Wire wants us to learn? They always talk about these third world countries and these underdeveloped countries. How are these underdeveloped countries able to feed their people better food? How are they able to give them a better quality of education? And oftentimes it's free education. So when they act like they can't understand why many institutions are failing, it's because of the profit motive, right? And they wanted a nation of workers, not thinkers. They don't want people to be able to think critically and challenge them intellectually. They want a bunch of mindless drones. And, you know, basically you usher in your own replacement, whether it be illegal undocumented labor or AI. You know what I mean? Be a mindless drone. Don't think about it. Just do whatever we say.
Things. Buying things. People spending money they don't have on things they don't need. Money they don't have on things they don't need. So they can max out their credit cards and spend the rest of their lives paying 18% interest on something that costs $12.50. And they didn't like it when they got it home anyway. Not too bright, folks. Not too fucking bright. But if you talk to one of them about this, if you isolate one of them, you sit them down rationally, and you talk to them about the low IQs and the dumb behavior and the bad decisions, right away they start talking about education. That's the big answer to everything. Education. They say we need more money for education. We need more books, more teachers, more classrooms, more schools. We need more testing for the kids. You say to them, well, you know, we've tried all of that, and the kids...
Another thing, they say that we need more teachers. However, they're unwilling to pay the teachers a living wage. So many teachers, the only reason why they're able to teach is because they're married and they have a partner to have a supplemental income. And I get it now. The days of the Al Bundy being able to work at a Foot Locker or whatever and still be able to sustain and maintain owning a house and a family, those days are over, you know. But you got to ask, who ended those days? It clearly wasn't the rank and file, the proletariat, right? So as they say, teachers are so valuable. However, they don't want to pay teachers. They expect these teachers to raise the future leaders of society. It's just, we're not going to pay you as if we care about it. Think about what happened during the pandemic or the plandemic, right? It shut down, and then they wanted to keep McDonald's and all of these junky fast food places open. And they said, you know what? These are essential workers. What's more essential, someone that's flipping burgers at McDonald's or a teacher? They gave the workers a supplement, a stimulus to say how much we love you because you're essential. And I think that all of us are essential. It's just some people are more essential in certain fields, right? A brain surgeon is going to be more essential than someone that works at Burger King. It doesn't mean that the person that works at Burger King should be denigrated or have their humanity diminished. But what I'm saying is it's extremely contradictory to give extra money and stimulus because people that worked at Wendy's, saying, would you like fries with that? They were essential, but somehow when the teachers go on strike, stop complaining, stop begging, get back to work and teach those kids, how are teachers not essential? And if they are essential, why aren't they being paid as such? In some places, I looked at some places, especially on like down south, there's some places where the teachers are making 23 to 33,000 annually. Out here in California, you make more working at In-N-Out Burger.
Value that's left buying things. People spending money they don't have on things they don't need. Money they don't have on things they don't need. So they can max out their credit cards and spend the rest of their lives paying 18% interest on something that costs $12.50. And they didn't like it when they got it home anyway. Not too bright, folks. Not too fucking bright. But if you talk to one of them about this, if you isolate one of them, you sit them down rationally, and you talk to them about the low IQs and the dumb behavior and the bad decisions, right away they start talking about education. That's the big answer to everything. Education. We need more books, more teachers, more classrooms, more schools. We need more testing for the kids. You say to them, well, we've tried all of that, and the kids still can't pass the test. He says, don't you worry about that. We're going to lower the passing grades. And that's what they do in a lot of these schools now. They lower the passing grades so more kids can pass. More kids pass, the school looks good, everybody's happy, the IQ of the country slips another 2 or 3 points, and pretty soon all you'll need to get into college is a fucking pencil. Got a pencil? Get the fuck in there, it's physics. Then everyone wonders why 17 other countries graduate more scientists than we do. Education. Politicians know that word. They use it on you. Politicians have traditionally hidden behind 3 things: the flag, the Bible, and children. No child left behind. No child left behind. Oh, really? Well, it wasn't long ago you were talking about giving kids a head start. Head start? Left behind? Someone's losing fucking ground here. But there's a reason. There's a reason. There's a reason for this. There's a reason education sucks, and it's the same reason that it will never, ever, ever be fixed. It's never going to get any better. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets. And they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying to get what they want. Well, we know what they want. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest. That's right. They don't want people who are smart enough to sit around the kitchen table to figure out how badly they're getting fucked by a system that threw them overboard 30 fucking years ago. They don't want...
Okay, so here, let me share this screen right here as well so we can kind of allude to some of the things that he said when he said they own you. I don't know if I can make it that much bigger, but it says right here, and I'm going to read through the slides. This is from Ali Zatiri. So it says your reality is scripted. And some of you may already know this, and for others, it's a refresher course. So we need to keep reiterating this. It's actually worse when people say, bro, I already know that. Well, if you already know this, why are you not disseminating this information and ringing the alarm, and supporting independent content creators so we can combat this propaganda? So 6 corporations control 90% of the US media. They control what Americans see, hear, and believe. This means news, movies, shows, cartoons. They're all pushing the same narrative. Now let's show you who's behind the curtain. Comcast CEO Brian Roberts, a Jewish American billionaire, funded by pro-Israel lobbying, deep ties to AIPAC. He controls both media and internet because he owns Xfinity. So he owns NBC, MSNBC, CNBC, and Universal Pictures. You're not watching news, you're watching his script. Disney owns ABC, ESPN, Marvel, Lucasfilms, Hulu, and FX. The CEO, Bob Iger, Jewish heritage, open supporter of Israel. He sat on the U.S. Israel Business Council. Under his watch, Disney donates to pro-Israel organizations. We are not done yet. Warner Brothers Discovery. They own CNN, HBO, DC Comics, and TNT. The CEO, David Zaslav, Jewish American media mogul, honored by the Simon Wiesenthal Center for Support of Israel. Long history of pro-Israel donations. CNN has global reach. Now ask this. Who programs the narrative? Moving on. Paramount Global owns CBS, MTV, BET, Comedy Central, and Showtime. CEO Sherry Redstone, granddaughter of media tycoon Sumner Redstone, who was born Rothstein, i.e. Jewish, but changed their name. Strong supporter of Zionist causes, funds Israeli media and exchange programs. The Redstone family equals a media dynasty and global influence. News Corp owns Fox News, New York Post, and the Wall Street Journal. Chairman Rupert Murdoch, CEO Lachlan Murdoch, strongly, fiercely, ferociously pro-Israel, longtime ally of Netanyahu, and Fox pushes the same war narratives, different flavor. Are you starting to notice a pattern? Sony Pictures, the US division, owned by Sony Japan. The CEO of the US division is Tony Vinciquerra. So the US unit partners with Israeli tech firms connected to the Pentagon via content security deals. Foreign owned, American branded, still manipulated by you know who. Yep, you would have guessed it. So 6 corporations, all with overlapping interests, shared political donors, and Israeli affiliations. Remember the Iraq war propaganda, the Russiagate lies, the C-19 pharma messaging, unquestioning support for Israel's war crimes, and the silence about Jeffrey's client list. Now you know why. They control what you think, what you fear, who you support, what you inject, what you dream. Call it what it is. It's manufactured consent. This isn't about hate. It's about power. And you can't question who owns the media. If you can't question who owns the media, you're not free. You're conditioned. You have no rights. And for the first time in decades, people are waking up. Trust in the media is collapsing. The media was one of their strongest weapons. The matrix is cracking. Protect free speech at all costs because they're coming for it. Defend it like your life depends on it. Okay, so now we will get back into the video.
You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. Everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets. And they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying to get what they want. Well, we know what they want. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest. That's right. They don't want people who are smart enough to sit around the kitchen table and figure out how badly they're getting fucked by a system that threw them overboard 30 fucking years ago. They don't want that. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back, so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later, because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club. And by the way, it's the same big club they used to beat you over the head with all day long, when they tell you what to believe. All day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. The table is tilted, folks.
Like he said, it's a big club and you ain't in it. And I got to give some shout outs. Of course, we've been joined by some illustrious guests. My New Orleans family, the 504 boy, Wode, Braxton, and the FBA all day. Move the F out the way. Tutney's in the building. And also Chad. Chad says, you not in the club. Chad, you're not in the club. Neither am I, and George Carlin wasn't in the club. It's a humongous, gigantic club, and you ain't in it. And also, shout out to Jazzy Smith. Jazzy Smith says MLK saw that war becomes a business. When profit depends on conflict, peace becomes a threat. And this is why he talked about the military-industrial complex. He talked about militarism abroad and domestically. He also said a lot more than he has a dream and judge people by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. He said a lot more than that. But they painted him as a kooky communist. And unfortunately, that consent was manufactured and many people went aboard with it. Let's just say that he was a communist. He never owned any slaves. He never killed anybody. So the people that were calling him communists were looking up to people who were former slave owners and rapists and pedos and incestuous people. They looked at MLK as this horrendous, horrific figure while they were praising Confederate traitors and pedos. Doesn't even make any sense. No, I agree. MLK wasn't a communist. However, he was accused of being a communist, and many people believed it. And also the FBI director, Hoover, sent him letters saying that he suggested that he off himself. They were illegally wiretapping him. And guess what he got for all of the violation? And this shows on the show, you have no rights. So they violated his rights, and then he was rewarded for that because he was violating the rights of a Negro, so no one cared. But now they could illegally, they don't even have to wiretap you because all they have to do is bring up 9/11. Now they have the Patriot Act, and with all of these social media companies, you volunteer your information, so now they just surveil you for free. So
the game is rigged, and nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club. And by the way, it's the same big club they used to beat you over the head with all day long when they tell you what to believe. All day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. The table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged.
So the game is rigged. It's a big club and you ain't in it. But the thing is, we are a bigger party, a bigger club. It's more of us than them. The only thing is that many of us are willing to sell each other out to kind of bend over for the plutocrats. People are willing to sell each other out. They'll sell their neighbor out so that they can lick Elon Musk boots. They'll sell their neighbor out so that, you know, they get a pat on the back and a butter biscuit from Bill Gates. You know what I mean? Having all of these billionaires, that does nothing for your community. All of the people that are saying, we need more white babies. Well, Elon Musk is producing a lot of white babies, but how could you produce one if you can't even afford it? So he's talking about whites are being discriminated against. Elon Musk is discriminating against whites. He's hiring people that look like Vivek Ramaswamy and Dinesh D'Souza, saying Americans are too lazy and too stupid. So I don't get how people think that, you know, having this unregulated, unfettered capitalism where people are becoming trillionaires, like, I don't know how you think that helps your community. It doesn't. You're trying to tether on to the accomplishments of Elon Musk and vicariously say, I'm white, he's white, so that means whites are winning. No, that means Elon Musk is winning, not you.
You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club. And by the way, it's the same big club they used to beat you over the head with all day long when they tell you what to believe. All day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. The table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged. And nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. Good, honest, hard-working people, white collar, blue collar, doesn't matter what color shirt you have on. Good, honest, hard-working people continue. These are people of modest means. Continue to elect these rich cocksuckers who don't give a fuck about them. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you at all. At all. At all.
Yeah, try telling this to the MAGA maniacs, because for some reason they think if they glaze and praise Trump and if they meat ride Trump long enough that somehow that means that he cares about them. Trump is going to bring jobs back. What jobs has Trump brought back? He hasn't brought any jobs back. There have been no mass deportations. How have the tariffs helped you? He hasn't ended the war. If anything, he's committed war crimes and helped facilitate even more wars. So what has Trump done that is so great? He's going around lying and tearing down history. Anything that has to do with slavery, he's tearing it down. But I thought you guys were proud of slavery. You said this land wasn't stolen, it was conquered. Okay, well, tell us explicitly how you conquered it. Tell us all the people that you enslaved, that you raped, that you maimed, that you tortured and castrated, right? You're proud of your conquering, right? That's your accomplishment. You want to wear it like a badge of honor? Well, tell everyone that you did. Don't try to say that you conquered it and then give us the sanitized version. We're not kids here. We want the TVMA version. We want the rated R version. They say that they conquered and then they want to give you the the Disney G-rated version that cuts everything out. No, stop being a coward. If you conquered, then tell us what you did. Same thing with people. I'm a Viking and I have Viking culture. Okay, Viking culture was inherently thievery, dishonesty, disloyalty, raping, pillaging, and plundering. If that's your culture, then just say it. You know what I mean? Embrace your degeneracy. There's nothing wrong with that, since that's your culture after all.
And you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club. And by the way, it's the same big club they used to beat you over the head with all day long when they tell you what to believe. All day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. The table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged. And nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. Good, honest, hard-working people. White collar, blue collar, doesn't matter what color shirt you have on. Good, honest, hard-working people continue. These are people of modest means.
And when Mike said this, he was talking about the J community. But, you know, he had some words in there. He was saying, don't Jew me, don't Ike me, don't Ike me with a K. And they were like, no, you can't say that. So they didn't care if Michael Jackson said nigga. They didn't care if he said nigger. But, you know, you can't say anything disparaging towards Jews, right? So that's why I said all slurs matter, right? If y'all don't care about one slur or epithet towards another group, we can't pretend as if it's okay for this group, but it's offensive if you say a slur towards Jews. Like, are they special? Are they human? You know, like, are they just these chosen people that you could never speak about? Nah, I mean, many Jewish record labels, they have no problem putting out stuff. So, for instance, Kanye West had put something out when he said, how could I be anti-Semitic? I just fucked a Jewish bitch. And they were like, oh my God, how could he say that? But if he said he fucked a black bitch, a white bitch, or any other bitch, it would be okay. But the fact that he said he fucked a Jewish bitch, that's anti-Semitic. Him saying he fucked a black bitch is not anti-black. But him saying he fucked a Jewish bitch who was white, why did they call it anti-white? Because he was talking about fucking a white Jewish bitch. So people are just kind of tired of the hypocrisy. They say no DEI, no affirmative action, right? So fine. That's all been ended. So all slurs matter. The N-word shouldn't just reign supreme. You know, all slurs should be used equally, right? Or none of them should be used. And since people have an issue with using none of them, then let's just use all of them. That seems fair, right? That seems equal.
All from you sooner or later, because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club. And by the way, it's the same big club they used to beat you over the head with all day long when they tell you what to believe.
And shout out to MWP and shout out to Roger Meadows. Roger Meadows emphasizes worker cooperatives for all Americans to own the economy. So this is not race-based, you know, this is humanity-based, right? Because we want to uplift and enrich everyone. This is a universal policy. This is a all lives matter policy. But unfortunately, many people will frame worker co-ops as that's socialism, that's communism. So they'll say these buzzwords that they don't know the definition of to denigrate it, but they basically just support the status quo. All they want to do is, you know, improve their standing in the status quo. They don't care about bootlicking for Peter Thiel, Bloomberg, Miriam Adelson. All they want to be is just a step above the niggas. Hey, I'm not like those blacks, I'm above them. But yeah, you're below many of these billionaires, bootlicking them, you know what I mean? And they're the ones pushing you will own nothing and be happy, right? It's not BLM that's causing that.
Money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back. So,
oh, shout out to Julianne Fry. She says, my grocery store that I shopped at today as a worker co-op. If you don't mind, could you let me know what that place is? I would like to look that up, and then people could use that as a model to push forward in their local community, because people act like these worker co-ops are just like figuring out how to get to the moon. This is the greatest nation. It's just we can't figure out how to effectively have worker co-ops. So could you let me know where that worker co-op is located and what the name of it is? And salute to you. How are the prices there at that worker co-op? Are they exorbitant or have they been, fairly stabilized? Let me know. And shout out to Julianne and MWP.
They can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I.
And shout out to MWP. And of course, I have to continuously pause the video. I will rewind it back just so that I don't get any sort of copyright infringement. But MWP says Cesar Chavez was against illegal immigration and he promoted worker cooperatives. I might pull up the video. I have to look it up. Cesar Chavez was vehemently against illegal immigration, and he was actually calling the people coming over. He wasn't. People get mad at saying, and Cesar Chavez is revered. They have multiple schools called Cesar Chavez School, right? When the people came over here, Cesar Chavez didn't call them illegal. He didn't call them immigrants. He didn't call them aliens. Cesar Chavez called them wetbacks. Cesar Chavez, Mr. Latino. So all the people saying you can't call them aliens. Well, the person who was super revered that people praise was calling the people across the border wetbacks. I mean, which one would you prefer to be called? An illegal alien or take your pick?
I are not in the big club. And by the way, it's the same big club they used to beat you over the head with all day long when they tell you what to believe. All day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. The table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged. And nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. Good, honest, hard-working people, white collar, blue collar, doesn't matter what color shirt you have on. Good, honest, hard-working people continue. These are people of modest means. Continue to elect these rich cocksuckers who don't give a fuck about them. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you at all. At all. At all. Yeah. You know? And nobody seems to notice, nobody seems to care. That's what the owners count on, the fact that Americans will probably remain willfully ignorant of the big red, white, and blue dick that's being jammed up their assholes every day. Because the owners of this country know the truth. It's called the American dream, because you have to be asleep to believe it. Customs. Swearing on the Bible. You understand that shit? They tell you to raise your right hand, place your left hand on the Bible. Does this stuff really matter? Which hand? Does God really give a fuck about details like this? Suppose you put your right hand in the Bible, you raise your left hand. Would that count? Or would God say, sorry, wrong hand, try again? And why does one hand have to be raised? What is the magic in this gesture? This seems like some sort of a primitive voodoo mojo shtick. Why not put your left hand on the Bible, let your right hand hang down by your side? It's more natural. Or put it in your pocket. Remember what your mother used to say?
Okay, so let's see, before I proceed with the video, let's see what the revered Cesar Chavez had to say about illegal immigration, right? Mind you, he's a Latino, he's a Hispanic, and they want FBAs out there crashing out for illegal immigration. Let's see what the revered Cesar Chavez has to say about it.
The illegals, I find very interesting. Would you say that it's, at this particular moment, as important as any of the other problems facing the union?
Oh, yes. In the last 3 weeks, last 2 weeks, it has become an emergency for us. There's an awful lot of illegals coming in by the hundred, by the thousands. Our people are not only in some of the crews where there's now strike breaking. Some of those crews are 100% illegals, outright, openly, with no attempt to disguise it. And so it's so bad now that we estimate 60 to 70% of the farm workers in California, of the resident worker, of the citizen, is out of a job because of the wetbacks. They're coming in by the thousands, just unbelievable. See, they're coming in.
Hold on. What did he call them? Hold on. My bad. Did y'all hear that? What did he call them? What year was this again? So what year are we in now? Oh, it looks like 2026. What year was he saying this? No, it couldn't be. 1974? This is interesting. This is wild. What did he call them? Let's see.
70% of the farm workers in California, the resident worker, the citizen, is out of a job because of the wetbacks. They're coming in by the thousands, just unbelievable. See, they're coming in with the consent of the immigration. Some of the crews where there's now strike breaking, some of those crews are 100% illegals, outright, openly, with no attempt to disguise it. And so it's so bad now that we estimate 60 to 70% of the farm workers in California, the resident worker, the citizen, is out of a job because of the wetbacks. They're coming in by the thousands, just unbelievable. See, they're coming in with the consent of the Immigration Service, which is part of the Department of Justice. How else could they come? We, for instance, know that if you go to Coachella, you go to around the El Paso area, the secondary immigration checkpoints have been unmanned now for at least 3-4 weeks. They're closed. They're at night. They're dark.
So essentially what he's saying is both parties support open borders. He's saying that these borders are being unmanned and all this stuff, even with the whole build the wall. Okay, build the wall, but what's the point of building the wall when you're just going to let them climb over the wall or waltz in through a known entry? They'll say build the wall. Look, we built the wall to keep them out. And then you have Border Patrol directing them to a area where they can just crawl through or crawl under. This is what he said in 1974. What has changed, right? Both parties support open borders. They use it as a political football to dangle, hey, one day we'll give you mass amnesty, or now they're dangling the Dignity Act, where you won't be a citizen, but you can have a bunch of kids and your kids will be citizens. They will anchor you here. We won't deport you, but we'll give you legal status. You know what I mean? So both parties support this. If they don't call it amnesty, they'll give some iteration of it, but it will be like some sort of pseudo amnesty. And it will be, look, we didn't give them amnesty. And then eventually the Democrats will get in office and say, oh my God, what the Republicans did to you was so inhumane. So we're going to give you mass amnesty because this is a nation of immigrants. So that means come one, come all. You know what I mean? This is all this is. But even this dude, a Hispanic Latino in 1974, was saying the problem of just having illegal immigrants by the tens of millions flooding into the community. He's talking about how it affects his community. If it affects his community, how do you think it affects the black community? We're affected by it worse. Here he is in 1974 complaining about it, and it's gotten worse for black people. However, they want us to go out there on the front line and champion something that doesn't help us. Okay.
On the El Paso area, the secondary immigration checkpoints have been unmanned now for at least 3-4 weeks. They're closed. They're at night. They're dark. There aren't any patrolmen there. It's a gimmick. We think that it's a prelude at the beginning to a big drive on the part of the administration and the Mexican government to bring the Bracero program again. It's a vicious attack on the.
Well, Bernie Sanders, who was supposed to be super duper uber progressive, even he had to admit that illegal immigration, both legal and illegal, but we'll just fixate on illegal. He said that it hurts American workers, but specifically black American workers. We get the brunt of this illegal immigration, right? But all of these progressive, lefty, liberal lunatics, they just want open borders, flooded in. We're a nation of immigrants. It was built by immigrants. Okay, fine. If you believe it was built by immigrants, send them to Martha's Vineyard and let them build a bunch of stuff over there. No, we don't want them here. Dump them in a poor neighborhood with no resources. Oh, don't worry. We have NGOs, so we'll give them resources, debit cards, and things like that. You know, there's no pulling of the peoples up by the bootstraps. This is all government sanctioned. Even he's saying right here in 74 that the Border Patrol wasn't even doing their job. All of these stations are unmanned because this was the plan, to have the country be flooded with a specific demographic. When they say we need more white babies, that's what Elon Musk and Tucker Carlson is saying. The oligarchs are saying we need more babies. We don't care who has them. So when they bring people from underdeveloped, what some would call a third world country, their incentive is to have a baby. Some Americans, they grown up, if you don't have enough money, you don't have babies. The other people from an underdeveloped country, they are more incentivized to have a baby because the baby anchors them here, i.e. the term anchor baby. Once they have multiple babies, they're anchored here. Then people say, well, you don't want to separate families, do you? And then you say, well, I guess that is inhumane. So now you got tens of millions of people with multiple babies that are anchored here, and everyone's afraid of deportations because they don't want to separate families. And then the cycle just continues. And if the Democrats love these people so much, they've already been in control for, I believe, like out of the past like 20 years, they've been in power for about 12 of them. Why didn't the Democrats pass mass amnesty? Instead of passing mass amnesty for the immigrants that have been here 10, 20, 30 years, instead they opened the border to a new crop of millions and millions of other immigrants. So they don't care about the ones that have been here because they like to have them, dangle and have their citizenship status in limbo. They're more desperate. They're not going to complain. They can't really contest the wages. You're not even supposed to be here. So they love for people to be here with an undocumented illegal alien status so that they can get a lot of things done. All of these construction projects and stuff. There's plenty of American citizens that will do that, but they don't want to pay American wages. That's what it's about. It's not about they're doing the jobs that no one wants to do. Prisoners are doing the job, so that already undercuts that. There's a bunch of prisoners that will do that job. You know what I mean? So you're saying no one. Well, that's a lie right there. You know what I mean? You mean to tell me they can't devise a way to have a work program where people from troubled backgrounds, at-risk youth, where they can work these jobs? You're already paying the people low wages anyways. You can pay lower wages to a teenager. Now, doesn't mean that you got to pay them indentured servant wages, but you can pay, if you want to pay lower wages to American teens. There's a reason why remember they used to have a position called a paper boy. People don't read newspapers anymore, but it was called a paper boy. Remember, they used to have a job called a pool boy. That means that people used to work over the summer and these boys would earn extra money. But now there's a pool man who's an undocumented immigrant. So where are these young kids going to get their money from? People are not reading the newspaper, so there's no reason to have a newspaper boy. So where did these kids get their money from? When I came up, it used to be a bunch of kids, teenagers working at McDonald's. Now you go there, it's a bunch of grown people speaking there of a particular demographic, and many people don't always speak English. But you're just supposed to be okay with it. They're doing the job no one wants to do. No one wants to work at McDonald's. No one wants to work at construction. No one wants to do landscaping. Like, we have to stop with the lies here. They're just picking the fruit. Most of them are not picking fruit. They sent tens of thousands to Chicago. No fruit was being picked over there. Sent a bunch of them to Boston. No fruit was being picked. New York, no fruit was being picked. So all of these, they're picking the fruit. You got to get a new talking point.
I have been unmanned now for at least 3-4 weeks. They're closed. They're at night. They're dark. There aren't any patrolmen there. It's a gimmick. We think that it's a prelude at the beginning to a big drive on the part of the administration and the Mexican government to bring the Bracero program again. It's a vicious attack on the local worker, and it's just one of those things that agribusiness thinks they can get away with it. And our job is to inform the whole country what's happening, together with a boycott, and solve it that way. And so the workers themselves.
And honestly, you don't have to be a rocket science to know this, right? People think that if you say this, that you're attacking immigrants, but they can't refute it. It does undermine wages. If you are demanding $20 an hour, $30 an hour, and they can pay somebody $5 an hour or $10 an hour, who do you think they're going to go with? So at that point, it's not about who's willing to work harder. It's almost like, and this also undermines in the street world as well. So I'll just use an example for the ladies of the night, right? If there's an American prostitute, right, and she's out there and she's selling that cooch for like $100, $200, and then they have some undocumented person come and they're selling the cooch for $40. Now, that's what they're going to try to say. This is the market value of the cooch. Well, these people are selling a cooch for $40. How could you sell it for $200? How could you Americans ask for $30 an hour when I have Jorge or Hector willing to do it for 10? You know, they work harder than you. Know they're more desperate than me. You know what I mean? I could probably work faster, I'm stronger, etc. But that doesn't matter because all of that will warrant a higher wage. So people have to stop pretending that it's about people working so hard. And I'm not saying that, you know, people coming over don't work hard or they're not ambitious or anything like that. But it's this misnomer that these people are just like inherently more hardworking, you know, and almost a superior worker to the American worker. And then if you just ask the simple question, okay, cool. You said these people, they work harder than Americans, right? But they're fleeing their homeland. That what? Why didn't they work hard there? Oh, they were fleeing gang violence, but there's gangs over here, right? No one, there's no excuse that I can give. The reason why I'm kind of failing right now is because there's gangs in my city, man. And I just kind of fear for my life. People will say, bruh, stop being a wuss, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But somehow if you're in another country and you're fleeing gangs that look like you and, you know, that's probably part of your family, suddenly we have to have a bleeding heart and sympathy for them. They're just fleeing gangs. Okay, yeah. But stay in your own country, fight against the tyrannical government. I mean, wouldn't that, you know, prove your fortitude of working hard? Instead, you come to another country when other people have already fought and laid the groundwork. So who really is working harder than who? American freedmen of chattel slavery involuntarily built America first before immigrants came to America. They laid the foundation for immigrants. Yeah. And that's why the whole immigrants built America, not only is it a lie, it's super disrespectful. It's disrespectful to the foundational Black Americans because, for one, by any definition, there's no definition that you can find that will say that we're immigrants. You know what I mean? Even if you say that we all came from Africa, which we didn't, but let's just say that we did. Forcibly transporting someone, kidnapping, hostage taking. There's no definition where that's synonymous with immigration. Immigration requires a voluntary choice, not involuntary. So as bad as people make America as the big bad boogeyman, you voluntarily came over to sit in the boogeyman's lap. So how much sympathy can I have for you? It doesn't mean that it's zero. It just means that it just only goes so far. And not only that, when you say that immigrants built America, what you're essentially saying that the people who they call indigenous and native, right? You're essentially saying that they were just sitting here twiddling their thumbs, doing nothing. They didn't build anything. So they needed foreign immigrants who many of them came from a peasant background to build America. That doesn't make any sense. You immigrate to a better situation. If someone was fleeing famine, filth, feudalism, and failure, i.e. the potato famine, you wouldn't flee to another place that's failing. You fled to a place that was better. It was better because other people made it better. Now, yes, you contribute it to the greatness, but contribution doesn't mean creation.
Program again. It's a vicious attack on the local worker, and it's just one of those things that agribusiness thinks they can get away with it. And our job is to inform the whole country what's happening, together with a boycott, and solve it that way. And so the workers themselves, even
the sooner these American teens can become gainfully employed, they'll start having babies and building families sooner. Instead, many people are foregoing having kids and they're opting to live YOLO. You only live once. And then you're saying, why aren't they having babies? Well, why would they want to have a baby when the average home cost is $400,000? It's even more in California. It's close to $1 million, you know what I mean? Maybe like 700K or something like that, right? Why would kids kind of sign up for that? Meanwhile, it's a bunch of boomers saying, well, by your age, I had 4 kids. Yeah, and you paid $8,000 for your house, right? You're trying to compare you paying $8,000, $13,000, or let's just say an expensive house of $80,000, right? You paid 80 grand for your house, and then you're whining about kids who can't afford a $500,000 house. And all of these boomers and silent people that are hanging on to their house, and you think that you're going to sell it for, yeah, I have all this equity and my house now is worth $1 million. Your kid ain't going to be able to afford that. You're going to have to pass that down. You're going to have to give your kid a handout, an inheritance handout. That's what you're going to have to give your kid. Your kid is not going to be able to work hard enough to afford a house. So these boomers, they don't care. Who are they going to sell these houses to? They don't care because it's going to be BlackRock, J Street, Chamber of Commerce coming and buying these houses in cold hard cash. And they're going to further cement the you will own nothing and be happy narrative. Brought to you by your parents and grandparents.
business thinks they can get away with it. And our job is to inform the whole country what's happening, together with a boycott, and solve it that way. And so the workers themselves, even though a lot of them are Mexican descendancy themselves, are very uptight, very, very worried and very mad about the illegals coming to break their strikes. It takes away their jobs, their livelihood, and so forth.
Does that put you in an uncomfortable position to be against the illegal immigrants because they are from Mexico? In other words, part of your program has been an appeal to equal treatment of people of Mexican origin. Right?
Oh yeah, sure, but we're speaking of the legal ones. You know, we don't want Mexico to export its poverty to us, and then we pay. It's not the agriculture, it's not society in general. It's the farm worker again paying for those sins. You know, and Mexico should take the initiative and stop exporting the poverty to us. They should do something about the rural economy over there.
Yeah, and like MWP says, most American employers refuse to move from a minimum wage to a living wage. I don't blame young American people for not accepting lower wages. The real blame should go to baby boomers, Gen X, etc. And that's what I'm trying to say. So when you don't accept a lower wage, then they compare you and say, see, these other groups, they just work harder than you and they don't complain. No, what you're saying is you want a more easily exploited class, a more subservient and obedient group. That doesn't mean that they work harder. You know what I mean? You can take 2 people on a football field. I can outperform them, but yeah, this person is going to be a headache because they know their worth. So I'm going to pay the lesser athlete and say that, yeah, they worked harder because they're more compliant. Compliance doesn't mean that people work harder. So, but like I said, all of what he's saying now is towards his community. He's not saying how this affects the black community. He's just only talking about Mexican Americans. Because like I said, when FBAs fight, we fight for everyone. We are the most all lives matter people there is. That's what civil rights is. Yes, we wanted specificity because we were specifically targeted, but civil rights includes everyone. Meanwhile, the Mexicans were fighting for Chicano rights. I'm not a Chicano. Are you a Chicano? So we're fighting for civil rights to uplift everyone. They're fighting for Chicano rights to uplift their specific ethnic group. And then people are wondering, you know, why there hasn't been some black and brown coalition, because many of you guys don't consider yourself brown. You consider yourself blancamiento. You push the mejor la raza. And even the darker skinned Mexicans are treated as less than. And then when they're treated as less than, in order to assimilate with the blancamientos, they start shitting on the darker skins, calling them mayate and all sorts of other derogatory terms. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's when people say we're not out there protesting ICE, is not for a hatred of immigrants. It's just this really doesn't help us. No one can give you a coherent argument how legal, but specifically illegal immigration helps your community. Maybe it helps an employer, and it may help your stocks, because they're able to lay people off because they can hire indentured labor under the table. But ultimately, yeah, it's not really helping enrich or enfranchise your community. Maybe some individual gain, but no. So I'm gonna play the rest of this uninterrupted, and then I'll get back into the video.
Very mad about the illegals coming to break their strikes, and it takes away their jobs, their livelihood, and so forth.
Does that put you in an uncomfortable position to be against the illegal immigrants because they are from Mexico? In other words, part of your program has been an appeal to equal treatment of people of Mexican origin.
Oh yeah, sure, but we're speaking of the legal ones. We don't want Mexico to export its poverty to us, and then we pay. It's not the agriculture, it's not society in general. It's the farm worker again paying for those sins. And Mexico should take the initiative and stop exporting the poverty to us. They should do something about the rural economy over there, and then see it's a way of breaking the strike. It's a way of demoralizing the farm workers. And for instance, the workers are going to ask for stamps, for food stamps. They're lining up the offices for welfare, and they're being told, we can't give you a job because there are plenty of jobs. And the workers say, well, there aren't any jobs. We just came from the fields, they won't hire us, or they just laid us off because either because we're strikers, or because we're members of the union, or because the illegals will do the job for half the money we're getting.
So everything that y'all heard Cesar Chavez said, we have been saying that. So maybe people will start to believe it when it comes from him, but still, I'm sure there will be excuses made. Let's get back into it.
Pockets. Does she know something we don't know? Details like this. Suppose you put your right hand in the Bible. Nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. That's what the owners count on. The fact that Americans will probably remain willfully ignorant of the big red, white, and blue dick that's being jammed up their assholes every day. Because the owners of this country know the truth. It's called the American dream, because you have to be asleep to believe it. Customs. Swearing on the Bible. You understand that shit? They tell you to raise your right hand, place your left hand on the Bible. Does this stuff really matter? Which hand? Does God really give a fuck about details like this? Suppose you put your right hand in the Bible, you raise your left hand. Would that count? Or would God say, sorry, wrong hand, try again? And why does one hand have to be raised? What is the magic in this gesture? This seems like some sort of a primitive voodoo mojo shtick. Why not put your left hand on the Bible, let your right hand hang down by your side? It's more natural. Or put it in your pocket. Remember what your mother used to say? Don't put your hands in your pockets. Does she know something we don't know? Is this hand shit really important? Well, let's get back to the Bible, America's favorite national theatrical prop. Suppose the Bible they hand you to swear on is upside down, or backward, or both, and you swear to tell the truth on an upside down, backward Bible. Would that count? Suppose the Bible they hand you is an old Bible and half the pages are missing. Suppose all they have is a Chinese Bible in an American court, or a Braille Bible and you're not blind. Suppose they hand you an upside-down, backward Chinese Braille Bible with half the pages missing. At what point does all of this stuff just break down and become just a lot of stupid shit that somebody made up? They fucking made it up, folks. It's make-believe. It's make-believe. Now, all right. Okay. Let's leave the Bible aside. We'll get back to the science fiction reading later. The more important question is, what is the big deal about swearing to God in the first place? Why does swearing to God mean you're going to tell the truth? Wouldn't affect me. If they said to me, you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God, I'd say, yeah. I'll tell you about as much truth as the people who wrote that fucking Bible. How do you like that? Huh? Swearing on the Bible doesn't mean anything. It's kids. Swearing to God is kid stuff.
I mean, what do y'all think? Does swearing on the Bible actually mean something? If there's someone that's a known liar and then you give them here's this Bible, swear on this Bible, right? Does the Bible suddenly magically take over that person's spirit and turn a liar into a truth teller? I don't think it's like the movie Liar Liar, which was a great movie with Jim Carrey, but I don't know if it's extremely like that. So how much reverence should people hold to that statement? Because I get it, that's considered like a blasphemous statement. If someone says, I put that on God, swear to God, that's supposed to be blasphemous. But what is exactly going to happen to you, and what makes it blasphemous, right?
I'll tell you about as much truth as the people who wrote that fucking Bible. How do you like that? Huh? Swearing on the Bible doesn't mean anything. It's kid. Swearing to God is kid stuff. Did you remember when you were a kid? If you told another kid something he didn't quite believe, he'd say, "You swear to God?" I would always say, "Yeah, I swear to God," even if I was lying. Why not? What's going to happen if I lie? Nothing. Nothing happens if you lie, unless you get caught, and that's a whole different story.
So Tutney says swearing on the Bible is symbiotic and hearken. So what exactly do you mean by that? Could you elaborate and unpack that? If people want to show that they care about God, then they need to provide both charity and substance to the working class Americans and American freedmen of chattel slavery. I would concur with this, right? You're supposed to uplift people. Instead, they blame people. Na boo boo. You're broke. You're stupid, right? But you always say, what would Jesus do? Is that what Jesus would do? If Jesus saw a person that was allegedly low IQ, would he go around be calling them dumb and retard? Na boo boo. You're just dumb. Is that what Jesus would do? If Jesus saw someone that was poor, would he say, hey, you're only poor because of culture? Or would he break bread with them? I mean, fair questions to ask, right? Is that the Christian thing to do when you see someone that's poor and then you blame them? When you see someone that's allegedly low IQ and then you just call them stupid? Is that the Christian thing to do? If it is, quote me the scripture and verse. Don't worry, I'll wait.
Swearing on the Bible doesn't mean anything. It's kid. Swearing to God is kid stuff. Did you remember when you were a kid? If you told another kid something he didn't quite believe, he'd say, "You swear to God?" I would always say, "Yeah, I swear to God."
So Tutney says swearing on the Bible is purely symbolic and harkens to America's more superstitious days, and the church could use scare tactics to keep people in line. So basically, swearing on the Bible is like if you break a mirror or cross a black cat or split the pole or you step on a crack and you break your mama's back. Has anyone's mom back ever got broken by stepping on that crack? Serious question here.
Why does swearing to God mean you're going to tell the truth? Wouldn't affect me. If they said to me, you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God, I'd say, yeah. I'll tell you about as much truth as the people who wrote that fucking Bible. How do you like that? Huh? Swearing on the Bible doesn't mean anything. It's kid. Swearing to God is kid stuff. Did you remember when you were a kid? If you told another kid something he didn't quite believe, he'd say, "You swear to God?" I would always say, "Yeah, I swear to God," even if I was lying. Why not? What's going to happen if I lie? Nothing. Nothing happens if you lie, unless you get caught, and that's a whole different story. Sometimes a kid would think he was being slick with me, and he'd say, "You swear on your mother's grave?" I'd say, "Yeah. Why not? First of all, my mother was alive. She didn't even have a grave. Second of all, even if she was dead, what's she going to do? Rise from the grave and come and haunt me? Come and haunt me? All because I told a lie to an 8-year-old? Get fucking real, will you?" Sometimes I would say, "I swear on my mother's tits." Kids are impressed with things like that. I mean, I don't care about my mother's tits either. I don't care if they fell off. Fuck her. Not my problem. They're your tits, Ma. You keep an eye on them. Swearing to God doesn't mean anything. Swearing on the Bible doesn't mean anything. You know why? Because Bible or no Bible, God or no God, if it suits their purposes, people are going to lie in court. The police do it all the time. All the time. Yes, they do. It's part of their job to protect, to serve, and to commit perjury whenever it supports the state's case. Swearing on the Bible is just one more way of controlling people and keeping them in line, and it's one more thing that holds us back as a species. Here's one more item for you, the last in our civics book. Rights. Boy, everyone in this country is always running around yammering about their fucking rights. I have a right, you have no right, we have a right, they don't have a right. Folks, I hate to spoil your fun, but there's no such thing as rights, okay? They're imaginary. We made them up, like the boogeyman. The Three Little Pigs, Pinocchio, Mother Goose, shit like that. Rights are an idea. They're just imaginary. They're a cute idea. Cute. But that's all. Cute and fictional. But if you think you do have rights, let me ask you this. Where do they come from? People say, well, they come from God. They're God-given rights. Oh, fuck. Here we go again. Here we go again. The God excuse. The last refuge of a man with no answers and no argument. It came from God. Anything we can't describe must have come from God.
And I will concur with him. There is a God excuse where when you ask people to explain things, right? They say, if you don't know it well enough to explain it to a 6-year-old, then you're not fully astute on said subject, right? So whenever you start questioning people, then it turns into, oh, you haven't read the book. No, I've read the book, but you claim to be an expert. So why won't you decipher this book, in a more digestible manner? And then they clearly can't do it. It just turns into, oh, well, let go and let God and trust me, bro. And all of this trust. But, I trust, but verify.
From God, they're God-given rights. Oh, fuck, here we go again. Here we go again. The God excuse. The last refuge of a man with no answers and no argument. It came from God. Anything we can't describe must have come from God. Personally, folks, I believe that if your rights came from God, he would have given you the right to some food every day, and he would have given you the right to a roof over your head. God would have been looking out for you. God would have been looking out for you. You know that? He wouldn't have been worried about making sure you have a gun so you get drunk on Sunday night and kill your girlfriend's parents. But let's say it's true. Let's say God gave us these rights. Why would he give us a certain number of rights? The Bill of Rights in this country has 10 stipulations, okay? 10 rights. And apparently God was doing sloppy work that week because we've had to amend the Bill of Rights an additional 17 times. So God forgot a couple of things like slavery. Just fucking slipped his mind.
When white middle class and working class Americans become too comfortable with the status quo, they become victims of it later on. You see what's happening right now with the rogue Border Patrol agents and the ICE agents, right? They're lawlessly going around fatally shooting people, not just any people, white people. And none of this would be any hoopla if they had shot black people. They would just say 1350 didn't do nothing. Why didn't they comply? But now they're shooting Lily W people. So now people are saying, oh my God, this is not the country I grew up in. Yes, it is. This is the same country you grew up in. This is the same country that it's always been, right? And people are just advocating for more censorship, for even more of a police state. They say that they want smaller government, but somehow they want bloated police spending. That doesn't equate to smaller government. So they think that is because they think that the police are they're going after the blacks. They're going after people like George Floyd. And then now they're going after people that look like Becky, Karen, and Joanne. It is what it is.
Fine. But let's say God gave us the original 10. He gave the British 13. The British Bill of Rights has 13 stipulations. The Germans have 29. The Belgians have 25. The Swedish have only 6. And some people in the world have no rights at all. What kind of a fucking goddamn God-given deal is that? No rights at all? Why would God give different people in different countries different numbers of different rights? Boredom? Amusement? Bad arithmetic? Do we find out at long last, after all this time, that God is weak in math skills? Doesn't sound like divine planning to me. Sounds more like human planning. Sounds more like one group trying to control another group. In other words, business as usual in America. Now, if you think you do have rights, one last assignment for you. Next time you're at the computer, get on the internet, go to Wikipedia. When you get to Wikipedia, in the search field for Wikipedia, I want you to type in Japanese Americans 1942, and you'll find out all about your precious fucking rights, okay? All right. You know about it. You know about it. Yeah. In 1942, there were 110,000 Japanese American citizens in good standing, law-abiding people who were thrown into internment camps simply because their parents were born in the wrong country. That's all they did wrong. They had no right to a lawyer, no right to a fair trial, no right to a jury of their peers, no right to due process of any kind.
Oh, so they treated them like blacks. So it's interesting that yeah. So just like he said, just point at FBAs at any point in history. Now, I'm just going to give him this because obviously this was a joke and he brought up the Japanese. He did make a little quick joke and say, oh, God forgot about slavery. And he talked about the Japanese interned, but the Japanese were interned and then they were compensated. They were paid reparations for this. We weren't paid reparations. Everything that the Japanese people went through, we went through worse. The Japanese internment was for about 3 years, which was grotesque and it shouldn't have happened. 3 years versus 300 plus years of the same treatment. So that's what they always do. Never forget the Holocaust. How long was that? About 10 or 12 years. But then they want you to forget over 400 plus years. Never forget 3 years of the Japanese internment, but forget 300 plus years of slavery, Jim Crow, black codes, etc. Stop complaining. Stop begging. You know what I mean? But no one told the Japanese people to stop begging Ronald Reagan to get those reparations, because they did have advocacy groups advocating for it, saying you guys treated us like crap, scum of the earth. And then both parties bipartisan were saying, yeah, you know what, we owe the Japs something, but we ain't giving them niggas nothing. We treated them niggas way worse than the Japanese people, but they wanted to take the moral high ground. Not only that, they, U.S. was being the world's police and wagging his fingers, telling other countries about authoritarianism and dictatorship. And places like China was saying, like, how could y'all talk about us? Look how y'all treating the blacks over there. So that's why they adopted the whole model minority myth and say, look, this minority is doing well. That minority is doing well. Everyone seems to be doing except the blacks. See, it's just their culture. That's how those niggers are. Like, so that was the whole narrative, what it was. But the whole thing was to say it was their culture. fine. Well, you can talk about our culture, but they won't talk about their culture of COINTELPRO, illegal wiretappings, Iran Contras and dumping drugs into the community and guns. They won't talk about their culture of that. They won't talk about their culture of mass incarceration and, planting drugs and assassinations. They won't talk about that culture. But they want you to say, well, you have a culture of welfare. Well, welfare was created for your women, for white women. So whose culture really is that? Then they'll start explaining and give you an explanation of why it was created for them. It doesn't matter why it was created for them. The fact remains that it was created for them. So that would means that that's your culture, not ours.
The only right they had, right this way, into the internment camps. Just when these American citizens needed their rights the most, their government took them away. And rights aren't rights if someone can take them away. They're privileges. That's all we've ever had in this country is a bill of temporary privileges. And if you read the news even badly, you know that every year the list gets shorter and shorter and shorter. You see how sooner or later? Yeah. Sooner or later, the people in this country are going to realize the government does not give a fuck about them. Government doesn't care about you or your children.
Well, look up Tom Hartman. He's not the only one who talked about it, but he did a segment where he said the reason why we don't have universal health care is because they didn't want the black people to have it. That's what it is. So when people say, you shoot off your nose to spite your face, that's kind of one of these things where if they gave health care to everyone, that would mean black people would get it and they would have better health outcomes. Instead, it was like, nah, let those niggas die off. So instead, none of us will have health care, right? But then we send billions and billions over to places like Israel that gives their citizens free health care. So while we're against universal health care for all citizens here, mainly because the blacks will get it and that will improve their health outcomes. No, let's not have it. Let's let the big pharma run amok like the mafioso, and then we'll send billions over to Israel so they can increase their health outcomes and have free college over there and free health care. But no one is calling Israel a socialist utopia, right? They just have universal health care. People are not calling Canada universal health care. So then they start trying to distract you and say, yeah, but what about the wait times? You have wait times now. And then when you leave, you're about 30,000 in debt. So what would you rather prefer? Have long wait times, you leave in 30,000 plus in debt, have long wait times, you leave with no debt. I mean, it's really not that hard to figure out. They try to always talk about fiscal responsibility, and then we waste so much money and say, oh, don't look at all the money we're wasting. Did ICE need all of these new fancy armored trucks with specialized, insignia on it? No, they didn't need that, right? So there's all sorts of money that we could be saving. Where's all that money that Doge saved? What's the point of saving money if it's not going to be reinvested back into the citizens? So yes, we could have universal health care, but, that would help the niggas. So, unfortunately, many people in the dominant society didn't want that.
Their government took them away. And rights aren't rights if someone can take them away. They're privileges. That's all we've ever had in this country is a bill of temporary privileges. And if you read the news even badly, you know that every year the list gets shorter and shorter and shorter. You see how sooner or later? Yeah. Sooner or later, the people in this country are going to realize the government does not give a fuck about them. Government doesn't care about you or your children or your rights or your welfare or your safety. It simply doesn't give a fuck about you. It's interested in its own power. That's the only thing, keeping it and expanding it wherever possible. Personally, when it comes to rights, I think one of two things is true. I think either we have unlimited rights or we have no rights at all. Personally, I lean toward unlimited rights. I feel, for instance, I have the right to do anything I please. But If I do something you don't like, I think you have the right to kill me. So where are you going to find a fairer fucking deal than that? So the next time some asshole says, gee, I have a right to my opinion, you say, oh yeah? Well, I have a right to my opinion, and my opinion is you have no right to your opinion. Then shoot the fuck and walk away. Thank you.
Okay, so that was George Carlin. That was a compilation of one, Why I Don't Vote. They own you and you have no rights. So what do y'all think? Do you have rights or do you have privileges? If they had rights, and especially if they were God-given, they wouldn't be able to be stripped willy-nilly, right? Do you have rights or do you have privileges? Privileges that can be revoked at any given time. I would lean towards privileges under the guise that they are rights. I think we should have rights. I think there should be clear and coherent human rights, but there's the saying, might makes right. Might makes rights. So whoever has the superior firepower, that's pretty much who's in charge and making the rights. Otherwise, what are you going to do about it, right? It's almost like you walking with your wife and she got a big old juicy voluptuous butt and somebody comes and just grabs her from behind and grabs the butt. Now you can say, you know what? Get your hands off my wife. I'm about to beat the dog snot out of you. And then somebody pulls out an AK-47 that holds about 50 rounds. And I say, hey, what you say? What you say, partner? Oh, okay, my bad, bro. Might makes right. Gunboat diplomacy. That's how we've been operating under. So yeah, we don't have any rights. So when people see rights being violated, whether it's the Pretty shooting, the Good shooting, this is the country that it's always been, a police state. Capitalism, the default position of capitalism is feudalism. Shout out to SWP because he always talks about this, right? Capitalism is the diet, more sanitized version of feudalism. It's supposed to be more inclusive and it's supposed to give you more hope. But ultimately, it still is about centralized power, and you need a underclass, right? You need indentured servant labor, and you need to elect the underclass so that you can kind of pin all the dirt on and blame. See, it's the blacks, right? And what do people do? Any chance they get, they bring up BLM. BLM was in 2020. What year is it again? Remind me. They bring up George Floyd. George Floyd has been dead for how long? Then they'll say that George Soros funded George Floyd. So why are you blaming the black community when you're pointing out that it was a non-black person funding and orchestrating all of this stuff? But how does any of this stuff become a kitchen table issue, right? They're blaming black people in Chicago, Oakland, and St. Louis. You guys are low IQ and you guys are dumb. Okay, so why aren't you blaming the smart people who are in charge? You're saying that we're poor and broke and are unorganized. So why aren't you talking to the people that are operating like well-oiled machines, who aren't broke, who are highly sophisticated and organized? BlackRock, J Street, Northrop Grumman, both the Raytheon, Boeing, Chamber of Commerce, Comcast, Google. You can go on. These people are not dumb, low IQ, unsophisticated, unorganized, unprepared. So instead, it's extremely cowardly. It's almost like a bully. You see another bully, but you're scared of that bully. So you go pick on, the pipsqueak, the person who's harmless and helpless. And you think somehow that makes you a bigger, more complete person by picking on someone. That's why they say pick on someone your own size. They don't say go pick on someone that's beneath your size. That's cowardly. But let's get back into this stream. So I'm gonna react to a video from none other than Tim Black. He's discussing a little bit more of the shootings, between ICE and Border Patrol and all of the mayhem that's ensuing because of that. So let's get into it.
stunned. That's 2 white people in a couple of weeks. They're used to that being black people that are shot down by cops. They may not know how to take this. All this equality going on. Well, you know, the right's been complaining that black people get preferential treatment.
Yeah, and shout out to TBA. If we can't all be equally comfortable, then we'll all be equally uncomfortable. And I would be remiss. I had to give a shout out to the Florida family, sunlight from the Sunshine State, shining brighter than a diamond, and the hardest working mod in all of YouTube, Vibrant Law, in the building. And yeah, so if we're gonna all be equally uncomfortable, that means that more of these type of fatal shootings are gonna happen to more non-black people. I don't want anyone being gunned down in the streets by law enforcement officers, by civilians, or anything, right? But you know, violence begets violence, right? If we're living in a very violent country, which it is, then no one should be surprised by any of these ongoings.
Equality going on. Well, you know, the right's been complaining that black people get preferential treatment. Turns out bullets don't discriminate.
They think that for this government, you know, and they claimed he was brandishing a gun. He was brandishing a camera, as you said. He was brandishing a phone and taking video. Because this government does something that I'm not used to saying about a U.S. government.
And we've been joined by an illustrious guest, Big Rig Slaps, in the building.
It lies to the citizens. It lies to the people.
Yeah, when you hear stuff like this, you know, Democrats are trying their best to mimic the language of Black Americans and real, you know, people speaking real truth in independent media, the ones that do that. Ain't that many of us, to be honest. Because independent media has become corporate media. I seen that happen. It was crazy. I remember when everybody was independent. Now everybody's independently corporate. Is what it is. Because all the people that I came up with in independent media, at least the majority of them, all formed these big corporations. And now they're making multiple $1 million a year. And then when you look at them, that's the same thing reflected in their content. They're going to press conferences, if the White House, if they're on the right, if they're on the left, they're all piled up and going on different podcasts. I mean, they're all fake.
And no one has to take my word for it. Look this up. Racism in America is a detriment to the country, and it's actually cost the country trillions of dollars. So to all of the fiscal conservatives, y'all should be the biggest anti-racist, anti-black bigots. You know what I mean? Advocates against anti-black bigots is what I meant to say in that regard, right? Because this is costing the country not millions, not billions, trillions of dollars. This is not my word, so don't take my word for it. Look this stuff up. How does racism help the country? It doesn't help us economically. It may help some bigots. It may help their individual pockets, but it doesn't help enrich communities. It doesn't uplift industries. So if it's not uplifting and enriching communities, it's a detriment. That's what we need. We don't need more stagnation. But racism, it's not progressing the country forward. It's a harmful thing. It's a detriment and a bane to society. So anyone continuously perpetuating that, you know that they don't care about conservatism. You know that they don't care about fiscal responsibility. And you know they don't care about humanity. And they definitely don't care about Christianity. Or maybe they do. Maybe they care about Christianity just like the slave owners did.
But then you look at something like Anna Navarro, you listen to her talk, and it's like, she just realized the government lies to us. I mean, fam, Democrats are still as phony as they've ever been. And I know she's not technically a Democrat, but like Bernie Sanders, she caucuses with him, she rocks with him, she might as well be. Just say that Anna Navarro is a Republican. I don't know, man. That's like OJ said, he ain't black, he's OJ. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. So yeah, I hear this horse shit. And I'm thinking, you got to come out here. You got to say something about this. I mean, this woman with a straight face is supposed to be hyperventilating over the murder of this nurse, this ICU nurse with no criminal history at all, who was just at a protest trying to help a woman and never even pulled his gun or touched it. In the view of the cameras anyway, it was in the back of his pants. And you could see the cops take the gun and leave the frame, and still they shoot the guy as if he still had it and was trying to pull it. I mean, it's just horrible, man. But this notion that Anna just figured out that the government lies, it means they're still on the same script. It's just so far Democrats are going to go. They're going to pretend to be outraged.
Yes, and this is what they say, selective outrage, right? They're saying that they've never seen, this type of government overreach, and they've never seen this level of brutality and barbarism. But on my other streams, I've given a litany of instances where this happened before, and maybe I'll give some more because, I like to provide scholarship with this. But Anna Navarro is just a stooge. They have her up there to say that she's a model minority Latina fleeing some dictatorship, and I can't remember where she's from, Cuba or Venezuela or something like that, right? So that's all she is. Look, she's a model minority, and you can make it. You can be like Anna Navarro. But is this something really to aspire to? Someone going up there pretending to be naive when they clearly know what's going on. So if they know what's going on, it's not about naivete. It's about them being unscrupulous liars. And that's what Anna Navarro is. Everyone on The View is a liar.
The frame, and still they shoot the guy as if he still had it and was trying to pull it. I mean, it's just horrible, man. But this notion that Anna just figured out that the government lies, it means they're still on the same script. It's just so far Democrats are going to go. They're going to pretend to be outraged. But at the end of the day, they can only walk it so far up. So you're going to have people like Anna Navarro who won't go far enough, right? They go from, okay, good point, not brandishing, and then they'll say a big whopper like this that neuters everything they said previously. And then you got people like this.
It's time to shut this shit down, yo.
It's got to be tough when you get out of a job. It was so good to you that you just want to get back to doing it. You're willing to do whatever you got to do.
So now he's transitioning from Anna Navarro to this stooge, Jamal Bowman, man. Jamal Buckbroken Bowman. It's time to shut this shit down, yo. Where Brooklyn at? What it do, son? Come on, man. This dude, this fake hip hop dude. So when he was in power, right, he didn't do anything for black people. Instead, he tried to make a hip hop day, or he wanted to make a hip hop caucus, something that does nothing for you, right? So he's saying it's time to shut this shit down, yo. Shut what down? The government? And shut it down because of what? Because some white dude got shot by two other rogue, incompetent white dudes. So now we should shut the government down? No, we should hold these people accountable, which they don't want to do, which is why you don't even know the people's name. If he was black, you would know his name. You would know if he grew up in a fatherless home or with a single mother. You would know what his GPA was. But with these dudes, they say, well, we don't want them to get doxxed. So even though they killed the dude, they won't even release the names. Where's the accountability? They love to talk about the accountability in the black community, right? Where's the accountability in the white community, right? Who is the name? Like Biggie said, who shot you, right? We don't know who shot Alex Preddy. All we know is it was two white dudes, but we can't say their names because they're victims and they will get doxxed, right? They killed a man, but somehow they're victims, and so you can't know their names.
To do whatever you got to do.
To shut this shit down, yo.
It's got to be tough when you get out of a job. It was so good to you that you just want to get back to doing it. And you're willing to do whatever you got to do. If you got to pole dance, bust it open for the man or whatever, you're just willing to do whatever it is. I mean, I know that's graphic, but I mean, I'm saying, man, listen to the way this guy's talking, and then tell me if you think
CNN is having a town hall. You know what? I might pull that up after this video. CNN, all of these companies, they're milking this not because they really care about this person. There's a saying, you never let a political crisis go to waste. So whenever there's some sort of high profile shooting, this is kind of why they call certain people ambulance chasers. They wait until it's going to be a high profile case, and then Al Sharpton comes out and gives a speech about how we need to hold hands and sing Kumbaya. So right now, even with CNN doing the town hall, they act like as if it's just random people, but all of those people are carefully scouted and vetted. So yes, some people may say some things that are unscripted, but they have a general, at least a premise of what they're going to say. So they know they're not going to say anything to upset the apple cart. And if they do, it's going to be done within a controlled manner. So yeah, CNN, Fox News, all of them. I've already broken down earlier how 6 people control 90% of the media. So they're all propaganda mills. Even if you think, well, I don't listen to CNN, I listen to Fox News. It's just a different flavor of propaganda.
whatever you're willing to do, whatever it is. I mean, I know that's graphic, but I mean, I'm saying, man, listen to the way this guy's talking, and then tell me if you think this is legitimately, this is real.
It's time to shut this shit down, yo. It's time to shut it down. This entire system. First, Renee.
What the fuck does that even mean?
Yeah, I'm with Tim Black on that. What the fuck does that even mean, bruh? And you know what? I'm trying not to.
You gonna have Democrats?
I'm trying not to hit you, Buck Broken Bowman, but I might have to hit you, bro. I might have to hit you.
This entire system. First, Renee.
What the fuck does that even mean? You understand what I'm saying? So you're going to have Democrats like this guy that's over the top. This doesn't really mean anything what he's saying. It's just loud talk. You can hear this type of talk at any protest. We need to shut the shit down. What about the babies and the kids and the grandparents and the grandparents and the people on Social Security and all the services they run? I don't know. Like, you got nothing for me after the first sentence. You got a couple of buzzwords you want to say that you think resonate with the people that you might need to get behind you. And that's it. So the Democrats are operating either from, a position of so much need and want to get back or to resonate, to win over some favor with the base that you're willing to say anything, man. It's like, it's the worst thing, man. Someone said, it's sort of like when hip hop, when Kanye started doing the 808s and then everybody started doing 808s, it didn't even matter. It could have been a love ballad and it'd be an 808 and a fucking love ballad because that's what they knew was working in the industry at the time. You know what I'm saying? When everybody had to have a video vixen, it'd be a song about being a kid and for a childhood growing up, and they still have a video vixen in it for some strange reason, because that's what was selling at the moment. Well, that's the same thing that's happening now with these Democrats when it comes to dropping F-bombs, acting pissed off, and really there's no solution in it. We need to do something. We got to do something, motherfucker. We need to, and we're going to shut this shit down. We got to, and it's just belligerent, wild, unhinged, cringe, dumb shit. That's it. That's all it is. It's reckless. Because Bowman's dumbass ain't going to get out there and get shot. They shooting white boys. But even if they go back, because they'll go back to shooting blacks.
Yeah, so Bowman is over there talking about we need to shut this shit down, man. And it's like, bro, you ain't in the field. You ain't in the street. So, matter of fact, like when Bowman said we need to shut this shit down. Hey, Bowman.
Who is we? Who is we?
Who is we? because he's not shutting shit down. So literally all he's doing is advocating for you to go out there and get your head busted and, chemical agents sprayed at you. So Bowman is saying we need to shut this shit down in the comfort of his house or in the comfort of his car. Bruh, hey, Bowman.
And you know what, nigga? You acting like a little bitch right now. You acting like a little bitch right now, nigga. Man, fuck that. I ain't letting that shit ride.
It ain't gonna be Bowman. He ain't gonna take his ass out there. Let's go see him go jump in front of some shit. Won't he go break up some fights? He can get he got somebody somewhere. Going down Minneapolis to go get in a line of fire, Bowman. See what I'm saying? It's corny. See, hear this guy talking. We'll let him go a little further and embarrass himself.
Good now, Alex Preddy. Rest in peace to both of them. State-sanctioned lynching and murder is happening under this administration.
See that? State-sanctioned lynching and murder. That what happened to a couple people get shot. I think a couple people got shot, Johnson, by cops that are trigger happy. Like I said, I can name you all these instances of the same thing happening. It just was not covered as if it was the end of days. Until when? Until Democrats could use it to their advantage. That's when they started covering it. And that's what's happening right now. It's being used to their advantage. And as bad as that is, it doesn't stop there. He's not the only person who got the memo, want to be effective, want to make a dent, want to get in the office, want to stay in the office, go over the top, be a moron. Incite stupidity, call for unreasonable whatevers, call for extreme change. We need radical change. To what?
My mental state today, after spending the weekend watching these videos over and over and over again, is fragile, just because I always believed in the rule of...
Here we go again. Like what? My goodness. So because she's in the comfort of her home watching some people get fatally shot, oh my God, my mental state is fragile. This has been happening countless times over and over and over. People, like Cameron said, man, niggas die every day, B. So they only care if someone has the complexion for the protection. If they get shot, then suddenly all of the bleeding hearts come out. But if it's somebody that, doesn't have the complexion for the protection, oh, well, didn't do nothing. Well, they should have just complied. But when people are saying Renee Good should have complied and Preddy should have complied, then they call you an inhumane, demonic monster. Like, which one is it? You know what I mean? And do you really think Sonny Hostin is losing sleep over anything? Like, Sonny Hostin, don't you have to deal with all of the scamming that you and your husband was doing? But let's see what else she has to say.
Just because I always believed in the rule of law, right? I've dedicated my life.
If you really believed in the rule of law, you wouldn't be working in law. Because our system is such shit. You would have to know how shitty our system is. You'd have to know. You have to know. Like, there's no one.
So if she believes in the rule of law and Trump and his DOJ says, hey, this shooting was lawful, does she believe in what Trump says? So the whole I believe in law and we're the nation of laws, that's up for interpretation and that's up for individual discretion, right? So people will want to dismiss, right? So she'll say that she believes in the rule of law, but if you cross the border illegally, well, that's a misdemeanor law. So I don't really care about that, but that's a law and people are breaking the law. You know what I mean? Not only are they breaking the law when they enter illegally, many of them get false documentation papers, another broken law. Then they're operating vehicles under false pretenses, another broken law. But Sonny won't talk about this because she's in favor of open borders and immigration, which I believe most of the country is in favor of immigration. But how it's done and what type of immigration does matter. So she doesn't matter if people come into the country illegally and break crimes, because she believes that they're misdemeanor crimes, right? But suddenly she wants to be up in arms about these people who Trump said, hey, they were within their legal rights. Now, I'm not saying I believe that, but this is what Trump is saying. He's the leader of the free world, and his Department of Justice saying that, hey, this is a good, clean shoot. That's lawful. So Sonny should be agreeing with them, right? Because, you know, she always supports the rule of law. So they only support the rule of law when it's in their favor, or when it, you know, they can contextualize it in a way that makes sense to them, you know. But if it's someone on the opposite team, then they start playing partisan politics and start saying, what country are we living in? Yeah, the country has always been like this. Nothing has changed.
Shit. You would have to know how shitty our system is. You'd have to know. You have to know. Like, there's no one. Fam, there is no one that should be practicing law, particularly in the criminal system. We could say civil too, but I'm just going to go criminal. Is that there's nobody who practices criminal law in any way, shape, or form in America that could possibly say they don't know how shitty our system is. For her to act like, oh my God, I just discovered the system may not be perfect. Oh, the system may even be corrupt. Oh, a system may be one-sided and biased. I mean, you are a prosecutor in this shit. You're a prosecutor in the system, and you mean to tell me you just now discovered in the year 2026 of our Lord that something might be rotten in our system to the point you can't sleep? Really? Wow. She's about to cite a statistic on her show. Maybe she's been watching us. She's about to talk about ICE detention deaths. If you're a fan of the Tim Black Show, you'll know I've covered this extensively. Haters of the show won't know what I cover. They don't know what I say. They don't know what I cite. But we talked about these ICE detentions.
When the doors closed last time, people went nuts. By popular demand, we are opening the doors.
So, proving my point, here she goes.
To enforcing the rule of law, studying the law. When I was a prosecutor, I pledged to the Constitution, to uphold the Constitution, and to see the lawlessness by the United States government is something that is deeply disturbing.
Are you going to quit being a lawyer? Are you going to quit being a part of the system? Your talk is cheap. Are you going to quit? Are you going to quit at a protest? Are you done with this shit? Are you going to quit working with the two-party solution? Are you going to quit caping for Democrats? Are you going to quit feeding the propaganda machine? Is that what you're going to do? I'm just asking. Is that what you're going to do? You're not going to do anything except put on theatrics for your audience.
Not only did we see 2 unjustified killings.
Unjustified. Has that been determined in a court of law? As a lawyer, she would know that. No one's determined that yet. They haven't even been to trial. No one's even been indicted. How are they unjustified? How can a lawyer say it's unjustified? Don't make sense, right?
2 unlawful killings of 2 American citizens who were, by the way, watching out for their neighbor. Yeah. The bedrock of our...
Watching out for their neighbors, not complying with orders is what the cops are saying. That's what they're saying. I'm saying. That's what they're saying. Got to prove it in court.
Democracy is to watch out for thy neighbor, watch out for the community. And we...
Here we go again with the lies. And what she just said was the bedrock of our nation was to watch out for the neighbors and, you know, protect your community.
Right.
No, the bedrock of this nation was creating neighborhoods like NIMBYs, not in my backyards, and Jewish brother Levittowns who introduced redlining, right? is saying love thy neighbor unless they're black, then we don't want to live by those niggers. That's the bedrock of this nation. So to try to act like we're all together, how many people right now live in a community? You know your neighbors, you see your neighbors, maybe you wave at your neighbors, but not everyone has this wholesome relationship with their neighbors. So to try to say that this is the bedrock of our democracy, no, it's not. You can say that it could be or it should be, but no, it's not. This whole love thy neighbor thing is just a load of what. And I'm not saying you shouldn't love your neighbor. I'm just saying, no, people only love their neighbor when it serves their interest, right? People want to live in these ethnic enclaves where their neighbors only look like them. And if they don't look like them, then, they may need to firebomb them or find a way to, ethnically cleanse or gentrify them out of the area. That doesn't sound like loving thy neighbor or democratic.
The law, as a lawyer, she would know that. No one's determined that yet. They haven't even been to trial. No one's even been indicted. How are they unjustified? How can a lawyer say it's unjustified? Don't make sense, right?
2 unlawful killings of 2 American citizens who were, by the way, watching out for their neighbor. Yeah. The bedrock of our...
Watching out for their neighbors, not complying with orders is what the cops are saying. That's what they're saying. I'm saying. That's what they're saying. Got to prove it in court.
Democracy is to watch out for thy neighbor, watch out for the community. And we see this happen in front of us, and the government, as you...
She don't know what the fuck she's talking about. That's not what people are put here to do. They're put here to, pursue happiness. Peace and happiness, American dream and shit. No one's put here to be...
Yeah, that is fair. I mean, were you put here to look out for your neighbor? Now, I am going to look out for my neighbor because, salute to your neighbors, right? But not everyone gets along with their neighbor or knows their neighbor. So, no, you weren't put here to be looking out for your neighbor, right? You know what I mean? See, a lot of these like Bible thumpers, they try to like make it up as they go. And they hide behind the Bible and says, well, the Bible says this. Okay, cite the verse and chapter and let me interpret that, because most of the times they try to project what they believe the scripture says onto you, but this whole love thy neighbor thing is a crock.
Front of us, and the government, as you...
She don't know what the fuck she's talking about. That's not what people are put here to do. They're put here to, pursue happiness. Peace and happiness, American dream and shit. No one's put here to be...
And like I said, go ahead. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. MWP looked it up. American racism cost the U.S. economy at least 16 trillion a year. At least. Once they say at least, that means that it's significantly more than 16 trillion. But I think 16 trillion is enough. So for all of the MAGA maniacs and the fiscal conservatives, right, your bigotry is costing the country dearly.
Part-time cop, part-time filmer, videographer, or whatever the hell Renee Good was doing. No one's put here to do that. And the breakup shit between police and individuals, I mean, it's not like the cops were batoning down that white woman. All they did was push her out the way. She slipped and fell in the snow. They weren't going upside her head with billy clubs and beating her like a baby seal. He really didn't have to do it. I didn't say he had to do it. I didn't say it was a life and death situation. He was saving someone's life. No, he got involved because he wanted to, and that woman's fine. She would have been fine, or maybe not, because one white woman did die, and we know all things stop. Everything's got to come to a fucking end because the white woman got shot. So now, here come the white men running out. Got to do something now. Right? Because that can't be happening in America. This can't happen even if she is a lesbian. We got to get out here. It's unnecessary. It was senseless. All this shit is senseless. But Sonny here is acting like what took place wasn't avoidable on both sides. It was avoidable. All I'm saying is ICE, badly trained, bad execution, gotta be a better way to do it. We need a new agency. We need to get rid of this shit. The PR is horrible. The PR is horrible. America first shouldn't mean you shoot Americans first. That's not what that should mean. I got a question. What's in the brochure, Johnson? This ain't working. Hold on, she gets to my favorite part. Let me let her get to my favorite part.
He said Anna lying to us. But there are also killings that ICE is committing that we don't get to see. 32 people in 2025 were killed during or died in ICE detention.
I like to use Texas as a benchmark for how many American citizens die in U.S. prisons and penitentiaries every year. And I just used one state to make my point because Jasmine Crockett kept citing all the ICE people that died and how it was a travesty and how it was setting a record. And then I pointed out in 2025, 180 Texans died in Texas prison. I never heard Jasmine Crockett talk about it, or Sonny Hostin talk about it, or Whoopi talk about it.
So for the All Lives Matter people, right? And the All Lives Matter liberals and Democrats, they never talk about, well, they haven't been talking about the prison system, right? The ICE detention centers is, like a Sheraton compared to the conditions that many people are living in as prisoners. And I get it. People are like, well, they're a criminal, so that's not the same. Well, if people are repeatedly breaking the law by breaking and entering and doing illegal things, that would make them a criminal as well. You can say that they're a petty criminal, but there's a bunch of petty criminals that are locked up. Many people, if they get locked up and they can't afford bail, they have to stay in there. Doesn't mean that they're a violent criminal. It just means that they can't afford bail. So then they're being mistreated, and some of them actually get more time because you become a product of your environment, right? If there's a bunch of hooligans in there fighting, right, you may have to fight to protect yourself, to save yourself. And then once you fight, they say gang enhancement, or, they slap more time onto it because, you're not rehabilitating yourself, even though they set up the environment to be, like a free-for-all war zone, but the Democrats are not pushing for better conditions collectively. They're not pushing for better conditions in prisons. I think it was last year in New York, which is blue city, super duper blue city, right? There, the correctional officers had beat a black dude to death, and the Democrats barely said anything about it. So yes, all they're doing is pushing this ICE thing, not because they care about immigrants. They care about their future constituency, and they don't want this political crisis to go to waste. But all lives matter, right? So that should mean the lives of these prisoners. Many of these black prisoners, they're being, some of them are turning up dead under suspicious circumstances, and then they'll have their organs removed when they didn't even ask to be an organ donor. So there is a allegedly rumored, reported organ harvesting ring going on as well. This is not me just making this up out the void. Y'all can look this up. There have been many instances where prisoners have been, people come to visit their family members and they say, oh, this person died 2 months ago. All right, what? Why didn't y'all tell me? Oh, well, my bad. All right, fine. Let me see my son or my family member who died 2 months ago. Then they present the body and they say, oops, my bad, we don't know where the body is. Or they present the body, like I said, with vital organs missing. Who authorized that? And who did they sell those organs to? Right? And instead of answering those questions, people keep bringing up BLM and George Floyd. That has nothing to do with what I just said, but it's a healthy distraction so that you don't have to face the reality of systemic racism, oppression, and dub supremacy.
Nobody on The View talked about the nearly 200 American citizens that died in Texas by itself. Every year, 6,000 to 10,000. They really can't narrow it down because there's no mandate that police or these prisons report when someone dies in their custody, right? So we're really not positive, but at the lowest conservative number I've seen is 6,000. But many entities would tell you that 10,000 is more likely the more accurate number, which tells us that the ratio of ICE detentions to American citizens dying in custody is 188 to 1, meaning for every 188 American citizens that die in penitentiaries or prisons around the country, one ICE detention person dies. And that does that have to be a homicide. It could be a slip and fall. It could be a medical emergency. It could be an overdose. It could be anything, okay? But Sonny, no context, and doesn't want to compare it to what's happened to American citizens, which brings me to a bigger point of view that I've been trying to stress that haters won't pay attention to, and people that are wrapped up into the propaganda of the mainstream media, is that our whole system is shit. It's sad when American citizens die too, Sonny.
They murdered a man. He is standing, he has his phone, and he has a bottle of water, and they shot him 10 times.
That's not how it happened at all. If you watch the clip, that's not how it happened. They were tussling with him, you know. Several officers were tussling with Alex before he was shot. Yeah, and that's not how it happened. He did have a gun on him, but they took it from him. See, Whoopi doesn't, she probably didn't even see the tape. I mean, she gets talking points and she just recites them. We can't expect Whoopi to take time to read shit before she says it. I mean, I'm a total asshole for even pointing out reality. And I still agree, you know, if you got 6 cops and you got to shoot a guy, you can't put cuffs on a guy, you got 6 cops. I mean, that's some punk ass cops. But once again, it was like horrible police work, horrible escalation techniques. The non-lethal shit should have been done and it wasn't done. That's all. If you're going to take a gun from a guy and then shoot him after you get the gun, I mean, it's an open and shut case, Johnson. It is what it is.
I am deeply concerned about the soul of our country. I serve as pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church where Dr. King served, and I would remind.
Here we go again. So whenever you hear this preacher babble, or what I'll call preacher prattle, yeah, this shit is gonna fall on deaf ears. And hey, Warnock.
What? Hope, please.
Nigga, please.
Hope.
Nigga, what?
Nigga. Nigga, please.
Nigga, please.
What?
Here we go again. They keep talking about these vague, nebulous terms. I'm worried about the soul of the nation. What the hell does that even mean, right? He wants to restore the soul. Remember, Biden was saying the same thing. I'm running to restore the soul of the nation. And by restoring the soul, it was to open the border and allow millions and millions of people to pour in. How does that restore the soul of the nation? That's changing the soul of the nation. You can't even clearly define what it means to represent the soul of the nation. So, Warnock, this is what the Democrats have to offer: symbolic nothing burgers and empty gestures and preacher prattle.
Get the gun. I mean, it's an open and shut case, Johnson. It is what it is.
I am deeply concerned about the soul of our country. I serve as pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church where Dr. King served, and I would remind your viewers that
it makes my stomach hurt to hear a black man say, I'm concerned about the soul of this country. This country has no soul. Let you talking about our music. It's a soulless country. Slavery, Trail of Tears. We turned the Jews back in their boats when they were fleeing Nazi Germany. It was like, our name Benny, we ain't in it. shit like that. The Nazis came here and learned how to treat Jews by watching how we treated or how America treated black people. Same thing with South Africa's apartheid system. They came here and learned how to get down in South Africa. We were the blueprint. So when this guy,
So you want to change your life? Create a habit that represents what you want.
When this alpha-looking motherfucker tries to pretend that what he's seeing now is so appalling, it just makes me say, damn, I wish he never made it into the Senate. And I wish so many black folks did not feel that because he's a preacher, that means he means anything good for us. I mean, really. What the fuck does his stint at Ebenezer got anything to do with his ability to be a good representative or senator or a politician or advocate or whatever?
He's not a good politician, or, he's a standard issue politician. He is a step and fetch it, tap dancing Sambo. He's done nothing for the black community. All he does is run on symbolic gestures and nothing burgers. And he does this preacher prattle and say, hey, I went to the same church as MLK, so vote for me. What are you going to do for the blacks? Not a damn thing, but I'm black and I went to the same church as MLK, so vote for me. Vote blue no matter who, even though we're going to do nothing for you. Like, no, Warnock, get out of here, bruh. I'm going to play a little bit more of this. I'm going to play one more short video and then I'll get ready to shut her down.
But it is what it is. So he's up here talking about the soul of America that he just discovered has problems. May not be as angelic as he once imagined, which is some of the stupidest shit for a grown-ass man to say out of their mouth. But to call it out makes me a sellout because you're not supposed to say it. You're supposed to pretend that that Warnock is amazing. Raphael Warnock's amazing order. Please, motherfucker, I heard better speeches by niggas high after watching the Tyson fight or Deontay Wilder fight with their head tied off some Henny. He's garbage. But we can't say it because if you say it, you're a sellout, you're a cornball.
While Dr. King was focused on the issue of segregation as
get the fuck. So anyway, I don't think anybody woke up today and said they're gonna go kill Alex Preddy. I think what happened.
Yeah. See, you could only really listen to so much of people like Raphael Warnock. All the dude is just a puppet for the Democrats. No different than Byron Donalds is a puppet for the Republican establishment. So just in case y'all didn't know, I'm going to play a little bit of this video. Rep. Ilhan Omar, she was allegedly attacked or assaulted, however you want to frame this, by someone that appeared to throw an anonymous substance on her. Now, it is reported that it wasn't like a acidic or a deadly substance, but it was a substance nonetheless. And, some people fear for their safety based on this. So let me play a little bit of this and then I'll get ready to shut her down. So this right now is from the CNN channel. Rep. Ilhan Omar attacked during a Minneapolis town hall. So just give me uno momento and I will pull this up right now. We'll react to a little bit of it and we'll get ready to shut her down. And I want to give a shout out to everyone who's been viewing this concurrently. You could have been anywhere in the world. You chose to be here with me, at least momentarily. And for that, I thank you. Also got to give a shout out to Shabazz. Shabazz, what it didn't do, you are goated. And I appreciate the contribution.
Congresswoman Ilhan Omar there attacked while speaking at a town hall event in Minneapolis Tuesday night. In the video, Seconds after Omar calls on DHS Secretary Kristi Noem to resign, a man approaches her, sprays an unknown liquid on her with a syringe.
Kristi Noem must resign or face impeachment. I don't know.
CNN's Sarah Seidner was at that.
I know some people was like, oh, look at Ilhan. You go, girl. Get him, queen. Yes, queen. It's like, so I get it. You know, it did appear like she was standing up for herself, but it looked like she had a lot of backup. It's almost like some people that act like they want to fight, but they know that the principle is there. So if you swing or if you say, what's up, man? Hey, yeah, what's up, man? I'm trying to see you. It's like, yeah, you know, the principal is about to break it up. Nothing is really going to come of this fight. So it does look, you know, at least like she stood up for herself. Somebody doused her with an unknown liquid and she looks like she was going to throw a jello jab, but the security, the male security came to the rescue. Let's rewind that back and then see what they have to say on the commentary. Uh-oh. Ilhan, was she gonna punch him? Where was her zaddy at? But thank goodness for the you know, the security there. I'm wondering, why didn't these people around her? Why did they didn't get up and fight for her rights? Maybe they knew that she had a mean jab. All right, let's run this.
Kristi Noem must resign or face impeachment. I don't know.
CNN's Sarah Seidner was at that town hall. She saw all this happen. Sarah, what did it look like from your perspective?
Look, there was a lot of fear initially. People couldn't figure out what happened. He was towards the very front of all of the rows of people who had come to the town hall, which, by the way, she has monthly. We are in North Minneapolis. She had it at the Urban League. And as soon as he sort of jumped up and came towards her, it was interesting to note that as he went around the side, he had what looked like a syringe in his hand, some sort of liquid he sprayed out of it, and you could immediately smell it. It smelled kind of like vinegar, a vinegary substance. We still don't know exactly what was in that syringe. An investigation we now know is underway. But after he did that, Ilhan Omar herself, the congresswoman, went for him. She cocked her arm back and it looked like she was going to lunge toward him. But before she had a chance to do that, her own security detail jumping on him, taking him to the ground, eventually wrestling his.
Must be nice to have your own security detail. So right now, if somebody came and sprayed something on me and I had a security detail, of course I wouldn't have fear for my life. So which one is it? So they're saying that she feared, or their people were fearful, but no, she didn't seem like she was fearful. She cocked her fist to throw a punch because she wasn't scared. She had a security detail to mitigate her being scared, right? So where was the fear? Now we can say that this dude was an idiot, which I concur with, and that he was obnoxious, and this shouldn't have happened. This is an assault. Like, he shouldn't have assaulted her, but she didn't seem to be afraid. So I just wanted to be clear on that. They're framing it as if she was just petrified, but no, she's saying she won't be intimidated. If she's unwilling to be intimidated, that means that she's not afraid. So we need to stop trying to paint this fearful narrative. No, she wasn't afraid because she had security and she believes in her hands, which is why I guess she cocked her fist, you know, to throw some sort of jab. But other people are saying that people were fearful. Like, where are the fearful people at? Let me know.
Do that, her own security detail jumping on him, taking him to the ground, eventually wrestling his arms behind his back and taking him out of the vicinity so that he could be brought in by police. Ilhan Omar herself looked over. They were telling her security detail, I watched them talking to her saying, we need you to stop. We are concerned about what this is. We don't want you to continue. She says, no, I'm going to continue. I will not let anyone intimidate me. And she stood in front of the crowd that was still there, who clapped for her as she continued talking about the situation here when it comes to immigration. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of concern and there was fear among her staff about whether or not she was going to be okay. Alex?
Well, and then right after that, she spoke exclusively with you, Sarah. What'd she say?
Yeah, I just happened to pull my cell phone out after our photographer, Jerry Simonson, was focused on the person who was wrestled to the ground and being taken out. And I asked her if she was okay, and here's how she responded.
And this work on Survivor has been great. Every single experience we had.
Omar, are you okay?
You know, I'm gonna go figure if I am, but I feel okay. I feel that it is important for people, whether they are in elected office or not, to allow these people to intimidate us, to make us not fight for our constituents and for the country we love. And as I said, you know, I've survived war, and I'm definitely going to survive intimidation and whatever these people think they can throw at me, because I'm built that way.
Thank you. I'm built that way. Her last words there.
Cool. You heard it from her. She's built that way. So she's not a victim. She can handle her own. She survived war. She can survive a mystery substance being thrown on her, which I don't agree with. And especially that dude who raised that dude who threw something on her. Was he raised in a broken home? Did he have two parents? Was he raised by a single mom? Whose culture is this? And the dude having low impulse control? Whose culture is that? Fair questions to ask. So it looks like we will be getting ready to shut her down. And I will be doing a run through of some quick visuals. Hopefully y'all stick around to the end. And this is the time where we start to wind it down. I want to give another humongous shout out to Shabazz. I appreciate the contribution, hitting me on the Cash App. And look, for anyone else that wants to support, you can freely support. You can subscribe to the channel. That is free. And guess what? The likes, they will not cost you a fee. They are for free. So like, share, comment, and subscribe. When you subscribe, hit that notification bell. Most of my streams have been impromptu so that you stay abreast and that you can interact and engage with the live stream. Eventually, I will have some scheduled days, but right now, I've just been doing the impromptu thing once I have some time, once my schedule permits it, right? So everyone that's viewing this concurrently and watching this on the replay, y'all could have been anywhere in the world. Y'all chose to be here with me, at least momentarily. And for that, I thank you. But here's a friendly reminder. Time for a like intermission. We kindly request that you show love to the channel's creator and platform by leaving a like, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell to stay up to date with all the latest content. Liking posts is completely free and helps the algorithm boost our reach. We want to grow the community larger and larger. So thank you all who take the time to support us. It does mean the world to us and doesn't go unnoticed. Now, if you want to make a financial contribution, there's no obligation, but if you're feeling generous,
Don't you think it's about time you gave me my money? Where my money? I need cash. Please send that money. Please send that money. Please send that money. Where my money? I need cash. Where my money? I need cash. Where my money?
now before we shut this thing down, you know, I'm gonna hit you. Yeah, burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up. I bring the pain like an aftermath of a car wreck. There's a lot of niggas that say they real. To me, that shit is far-fetched. Them cats is pussy. They really is on some feminine stuff. I rock up on them with the 40 ounces. It's the definition of adrenaline rush. What it do is sweet like cinnamon puffer. My niggas is rough like Willow Pass. Grew up out on Mary Mac, but I used to hang on Willow Pass. These birds that I roll with, outcasts and misfits. Better zip lips when you get hit. When the fifth spit, flat line in your hit. Trap habits is black magic, no voodoo. Get the bands like Goku. For the cocaine, they go cuckoo. Most these niggas is foo-foo, so I'm shitting on them like doo-doo. I can't fuck with y'all like tofu. I'm just saying, man, like Goku. Bad bitches at the house with me watching Netflix or Roku. Fuck them both at the same time, and I swear to God it was so cool. Street legend, real boss, I call shots cause I'm still saucy. I know some G's to the bike crack on shite racking and fly back out the mill. When they hear me flow, they say I be burning up, burning up. Cookies to the draw is what we burning up, burning up. What you ain't know, oh, we burning up, burning up. This shit so hot, it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up. When you hear me flow, say I be burning up, burning up. Cookies to the draw is what we burning up, burning up. What you ain't know, oh, we burning up, burning up. This shit so hot, it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up.
B-Eazy that dude. B-Eazy that dude. Yeah, they know the name. Stacking up the paper, but having money ain't a thing. Standing on business, burning hotter than a flame. From the block to the ballroom, you gotta stand the rain. B-Eazy that dude. Yeah, they know the name. Stacking up the paper, but having money ain't a thing. Standing on business, burning hotter than a flame. From the block to the ballroom, you gotta stand the rain. B-Eazy that dude, yeah, they know the name. B-Eazy